Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
Hey folks, welcome to Tek-Talks. Today we're going to be talking about the state of the game, my thoughts on it, and what I'm hoping for the future. So at the moment, when I log on Diablo Immortal, I'm kind of looking at the state of the game. I try to think of like all the positive and negatives, and when I sit here and think about it, I would say there are far more positive things to say about the game at the moment than there is negative. You know, there's definitely things we can discuss that are kind of hurting the game or that need improvement. But overall, I do feel like the game is going in the right direction. I do think the game is really fun, and there's a lot of things that you can get out of it, even if you're not spending any money on the game. So I'd say the number one thing where I feel like the game is excelling here in 225 is the social aspect. The only reason I play any game is so I can hang out with friends. You know, I'm almost 40 years old. I have no fantasy of being some kind of professional gamer or being competitive across any game, to be honest. I've played a lot of competitive games like StarCraft, Arena and World of Warcraft, League of Legends, and you know, I think the highest I ever got really was maybe Diamond across those leagues, and then in World of Warcraft, I think I got to 2100. So nothing, you know, and that was probably what, you know, in my prime. So I don't see myself really playing games for competitive reasons. So I only play them for a social reason, and I feel as if Diablo Immortal does a really good job of pushing that social aspect. Whether you're in an Immortal clan or a Shadow clan, it's built to be with people. You know, whether you're in a party finder and you're doing dungeons, you know, you invite some of your friends and you guys are just in Discord, you know, chain running challenge dungeons. Maybe you guys are doing a 10-leg crest run with your friend. You know, he invites you and he says, hey, come join me for a 10-leg crest run. You're excited. Even if you don't have 10 legendary crests, you're excited to see what your friend gets. So you guys are running through the Elder Rift, you know, yelling, I hope the chest is white. You know, you guys are having fun. You're talking. Maybe you're running layers. Even Battlegrounds. Lately, the funnest thing I have been doing in the game is me and my wife have been dual queuing in Battlegrounds. So we'll go up to the Battleground, the BGQ, or I don't know, whatever you want to call him. We'll get to him, and once we're there, we'll literally just count down. We'll go 3, 2, 1, and then once we get to 1, we'll click find a match together, and we've been having a lot of fun either fighting against each other or fighting with each other, and we definitely have done it with 3 or 4 people. So from a social aspect, I feel like the game is really succeeding. You know, every time I jump into the game, I feel the need to get in Discord. I feel the need to message people and do the parts of the game that I really enjoy. And having that social aspect really, really makes the game enjoyable. And to be honest, it's one of the biggest reasons I play games. So in that sense, Diablo Immortal right now is excelling really well. So another area where Diablo Immortal is doing really well and is being consistent with new content. You know, from the beginning of the game when it launched till now, the game is objectively better. Whether the patches are a little lackluster or don't give us what we want, they are consistently taking us a step in the right direction. You know, they're not batting 100%, you know, but for the most part, I would say they're consistently taking steps in the right direction. For instance, this last patch, you know, adding 10 legendary crest at a reward at the end of season for hitting legend, I think is a fantastic step in the right direction. I think it should be way more, especially because I believe they're 2-3 months, so 10's a little weak. That being said, you know, when the season ends and I can collect those 10 legendary crests, I'm not gonna not claim them out of protest. You know, I'm pretty excited to get that. And to me, that's definitely a step in the right direction. You know, they're being consistent with new classes. It seems like every year, you know, the druid coming out next. It seems to be the druid, by the way. I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but that's pretty exciting. I think anytime you're adding classes to the game, it changes up the whole scene. You know, when I was looking at classes, I was hoping they would add. I was actually looking at 2 different ones. I either wanted Amazon or druid. So to get druid for me is really exciting, especially since, you know, I've been playing Diablo since Diablo 1, Diablo 2, and my main was actually a druid, being feral and summoning dire wolves and whatnot. It was a lot of fun back in the day. Along with new essences, I think every patch, or not every patch, but it seems like every other patch, they seem to be adding new essences, which is really, really fun. That really shakes up the whole game. It shakes up the PvE meta, the PvP meta. Even if your class didn't get any changes, you're looking at different ways to fight opponents. I think for this patch, you should see some changes in Crusaders and monks and barbarians, and that's pretty exciting. I think anytime you're consistently changing the PvP or PvE meta, that's fantastic. A lot of times those can get pretty stagnant, and Diablo's done a really, really good job of consistently changing that up. So another place where Diablo Immortal is doing really well in is giving its player base a lot of options on what they can do when they log on. There is so many different things you can do in the game. There are so many things you can farm and ways you can go about farming those, which really make the game enjoyable and kind of break it from being stagnant. So when you log on for PvP, you have many different options. You can do battlegrounds, which is again my favorite part of the game right now. You can do vaults, which are really, really fun. If you log on, I believe at 12 and at 7. You also have wars on Thursdays and Saturdays. And I'm not even talking about the immortal part of it. You also have ROEs, and I do understand a few of those things aren't available to everyone, based on your resonance and the clan you're in. But my point is, though, is there's many different ways that you can go about in PvP. Even farming, there's actually two sets. If you're looking for legendary essences, the brown ones, the ones that give you, your skills, different abilities, that's a different type of farming. You're probably going to be doing farming monster essences. You're going to be doing world farming. You're going to be doing layers. You're going to be doing all these different things in the game to find these type of essences. And then same with sets. The sets there's so much farming that you can do on the sets that really make it they really give you a lot of things to do. A lot of times players will just get the set pieces they want and they think they're done, and they have no idea that they're leaving so much power on the table. Every time I make a guide, I always tell players like, hey, it's not enough that you get the set items you want, that you get the 4-piece Vithus, the 4-piece Agments. It's not enough that you get that. It's that you get them with the correct stats and the correct sockets, So I just hit 700, for instance. I have so much work to do in farming grains, even though I already have all the pieces I need, I don't have them correctly statted, For instance, this belt, I got lucky, is really, really great. It's got triple sockets with fortitude willpower. Same with these gloves. I got really lucky, but a lot of these are just terrible, For instance, this mountebank piece, I need to go farm so I can try to craft one that gives me fortitude willpower. I believe same with this bottom one down here, Mountback Legacy. It doesn't have willpower on it, which I desperately need as a wizard. So my point is that there is a lot that you can do in the game that keeps you really busy, and there's a lot of those things that you can do them in different ways, which I think is really fantastic for the game. So if there was one place in the game right now that I would like to see improvement, it would actually be, this one might come off as a little odd, but it would be to incentivize me to spend money in the game. At the moment, I don't feel any need to spend money on the game because the power gaps, the power disparity between me and the top players is so large that me spending any money on the game isn't really going to cause any kind of meaningful change. If I were to go right now and pull $2,000 out of my account, or not pull it out, but go and drop it in BattleNet and add that to my account, it really would do nothing in terms of, our next ROE, we're still going to probably lose terribly if we fight one of the top clans. The last Shadow War, or not Shadow War, the last tower we had, I was looking at, we were fighting 4 or 5 players that had 10 to 11,000 resonance with crazy secondary stats. So for me to go drop $2,000-$3,000, it wouldn't matter. I mean, I'm sitting at about, my resonance is actually a little higher. I usually sit around 3,200. But even if I wouldn't drop 3 grand, I'm gonna add what, maybe 1,000 resonance. Maybe some secondary stats. Like that's not gonna matter. It's not gonna have any kind of meaningful impact. I think one way you can look at it is, if you're trying to penetrate a tank, you're like, all right, we got to destroy this tank, and they're like, well, if you add some money, we'll give you a better shot at it. And you're like, all right, sweet. Well, I'm gonna go drop $1,000. At this point, it'd be equivalent to like them arming me with a baseball and me throwing at them. Like some of the players I fight in these ROEs or these wars, they have 10,000 resonance with like 8,000 armor. So me spending money in the game, knowing that, is very disheartening. And again, this isn't coming from a bad place. Like I'm aware that it's a pay to win game, and I'm perfectly content with all that. I just want to have a reason to why I'm spending money. And the ways they can go about doing that is adding meaningful PvP that would be within our same resonance bracket. So for instance, we have battlegrounds, and like I said, Blizzard has done actually a pretty good job when you queue for battlegrounds, that you are consistently fighting people in your same resonance. I'd say 8 out of 10 times you are. You definitely have times where I don't know what in the world happens. You just get put against really, really high resonance players. But for the most part, you fight people at your same bracket. I would like to see more of that added into the game in the future. I think it would be really fantastic if they added some kind of 2v2 or 3v3 arena, where players are fighting each other in their same resonance bracket, like maybe have like a 2 to 3,000, 1 to 2,000, something like that, and then have maybe secondary stats capped. I think if they were to do that, that would incentivize players to want to spend money in the game. Maybe they want to try to get their secondary stats, or maybe they want to get to the next resonance bracket with their friends. Maybe add something, another kind of meaningful clan PvP, like maybe instead of the shadows always fighting the immortals, maybe have some kind of shadow war within themselves, like maybe the top 3 shadow clans fight each other. I think those would incentivize players to spend money, because at the moment I don't feel any reason to spend money in the game, because like I said, that power disparity is so great that me spending money on the game, really, really is just a waste. It's a waste of money. So that's one place that I would say that they could definitely improve on, is incentivizing players to spend money in the game. All right, folks. Well, I've been yapping for a while. To conclude, I think right now at the moment, Diablo Immortal is in a really good spot. I think it needs a lot of improvement still, but there is way more positive things that I can say than negative. That's the reason I still log on every day. That's the reason I jump in Discord and hang out with my friends, hang out with my wife when we're doing layers, just having a lot of fun with the game. Again, there are things it needs to improve on, but at the moment, I would say overall the game is in a pretty great state, and I think the future of the game is looking pretty bright. Anyway, folks, I'll quit yapping. I hope you guys have a good day. Take care, guys.